mercy and forgiveness. We thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and how you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor. That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, that they should not bring separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you, and may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. May our study be pleasant before your place of honor, as an aroma of sweet incense, and may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being. And may the sparks of your holy servants, through which you reveal your wisdom to the world, shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us, so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes and our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I will see wonders from your Torah, because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Before we started class, we had a class discussion for all of you on Facebook that are going to watch this on how we're going to introduce the adult topic and the adult language contained in the Song of Songs. And so, because it all ultimately comes back on me. So, as we go forward, when we talk about Holy of Holies, get your mind right and get in a place to where you can learn the truth about the God of Israel. And so, with that, we'll get on with class. Now, reading this week, I was going through lower Gon, the 7 lower Gon heavens and the 7 upper heavens and all these different things. When you start reading about the 7th heaven and the upper Gon, the 7th heaven, it's talking about the Holy of Holies. And the problem that I figured out is there is no Malchut. It has no light of its own. It's an empty vessel. It's nothing. All right? And we've said this 1,000 times in here. What do you give a billionaire for his birthday?
Salvation.
All right? Well, what you give him is a woman. If he doesn't have a woman, that's all he wants. All right? Same way with God. All he wants is to be able to be in union with his feminine counterpart that he's actually trying to make. Okay? So, with that in mind, we are going to see what's going on and what is the world to come and what are all these things that 6,000 years has produced. What is the suffering that's going on, etc. So let's go back up here to our board and let's start from the beginning. In the beginning, it said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And he saw the light was good. What does that mean? Let there be light. There was light. It doesn't mean God said, "Let there be light," and light was created like we think it means. Right? God said, "Let there be light." Whoop, light bulb. No. Let there be light. There was light. It was already light. Was, that's a past tense. That's not, was is not a present tense or a future tense. That makes sense. God said, "Let there be light." There was light. No. God said, "Let there be light." There was light. There already was light. there was never not light. Right? And he saw the light was tov, it was good. But he hid it. He hid the light. Because he's creating darkness. He's creating Guru. He's creating his woman. She has to be curved light. She can't be straight light. She's straight light, she's masculine. She has to have curves, breasts, a body. Right? So he hides the light. That light is straight light. So if we go up here and we look on our board, Russell, if you want to aim it up here on our board, we get a pointer of some kind. Remember these straight lines that I drew down in the mind of Ak here? It says Yosher. These are the straight lights. Okay? Agulim, or Igulim, these are the curved lights. Right? Now remember when we were studying about making Adam, where Ema wanted to do it, and Abba really didn't want to do it, but they did it anyway. But he said, Ema, this is your deal, because your kids are going to be bad kids. They ain't my kids. Remember that whole little dialogue there? Where does that come from? If you look here, Ab and Sog and Ma and Ben. You see the line that goes from Ab to Sog emanating out of the light of eyes of Ak? You notice it doesn't emanate out of Ab straight out. It goes to Sog, which is like Abba and Ema's conversation. That's the iteration. Right? And then so Sog and Ben create everything. Because Sog is the light of the ears. This is the Or Makif and the Or Pinimi. That makes Nekudim. And then out of Sog and Ben, that makes Nekudim, and it shatters. Here's the secret. The Yosher never emitted. The big straight light never emitted. That was the light that was. That was the light that he withheld. That's called castrating Leviathan. Right? It has no yesod. Leviathan is the knowledge mind of God. Withholding it is what he did. What's he withholding it for? The tzaddik. In the world to come. Everything on this board is female. Relative to Ak. He's trying to make his female. Akudim, female. Nekudim, female. Berudim, the synthesis of it, but it's containing the light of Ma, 45, which is 26, Havayah, and 19. 19 is the gematria of Hava. It's still male and female. It is a female structure that contains positive and negative. It's a singular polarity. If you'll look on the Torah from Texas page, you will see that diagram. Singular polarity. Still Guvrot. Holy of holies. This whole thing is female. This is the world of the female. This is why throughout Torah, everything goes through the female. It went through Eve. Right? Every single woman, whether the sexual act was what we would call normal or abnormal, she was extracting stuff all the way to get to David. Right? Whether it's Lot's daughters whether it's Tamar, doesn't matter. Because David is Malchut. Malchut is a sphera that's female in and of its root. It's the nutfa. Now, the little ray of light that allows this thing to keep operative is the tzaddik, is a little thin strand of straight light. And Malchut's in exile. There's no temple. It's destroyed. Right? There's no Malchut. There's no place. There's no female for God to have union. And we say, but all Malchuts are here. Where are they? They're sitting in this room, and they're sitting all over the world. People are its Malchut. It only can have union in Malchut, which is the Holy of Holies, which is the bridal chamber. What do we know about our heads in this class? What do we know is sitting in the center of our heads?
The pineal gland.
The pineal gland. The pineal gland is our da'at, but it's his Malchut. It is our Holy of Holies. This is where a place, when you go to lose, a place where there is no death. No kidding. A place where only truth is told. No kidding. You see, it is where all Malchuts are coming together. We are it. And that is its place for its entry, for the connection. So, once all the tikkun is done, that's the vessel to contain the light. It's never contained the light. We go through parsha after parsha after parsha after parsha, and it fails, shatters, shatters. Right? If we look right here in Nekudim, the 7 kings shatter. Right? This Akudim is Adam relative to Hava. And Berudim is the Nakash. Yud, Hey, Vav. Got it? The Vav is phallic. It's the serpent. It is the Nakash. It is Metatron, the system that's fixing everything. You see, Nekudim is the Hay. It's Sog and Din. It's double Hay right here. It's Guvarot relative. Akudim is Guvarot relative to the mind of Ak. But relative to this, it's light. This is darkness relative to that. You see, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. So the fall of the 7 kings is the Etzadat Tovarah, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's the lower 7 that fell. The 8th king didn't die. Mehet Tavel, right? Adar Mehet Tavel didn't die. What do we know about 8?
Are you talking about the 8th king? The 8th king?
What do we know about the 8th day?
The 8th day?
Circumcision. It's all right here in Nachash. You sowed. But you see, there's no hay. It's trying to make hay. Trying to cut hay while the sun's up. Right? Only when the hay is finally made will Og release the Yosher. This whole thing is Messiah ben Joseph. That will be Messiah ben David. And then it's going to switch. See, right now we have the twin Messiahs, Netzach and Hod, the Hasidim and Guvarot. And then we have the two Messiahs coming down. It is actually a part of Josephic because it will be phallic light and hit David, the Malchut. And once it's erect and elevated, David's on top. David's a king. It's still Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David.
Right.
But the female is on top of the male. It's covering the, you see? It's all mitigated. It's been pulled up and in. Joseph will live. Why do we talk about the head of Esau? Where's Esau? Esau, his body is contaminated. His body's shattered. That's the 7 Lord Kings. Why does his head not shatter? Why does his head return? The upper sphirot of Nekudim, Keter Hod Mabina Das. Holy head of Esau. There's your first iteration. You see it? See where we're going? And so, what happens is, the Simsum, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, sounds just like a word we have today. Does Simsum and tsunami not sound really close? And we say it moves in a wave form, right? What is a big wave? A tsunami. When a tsunami hits, it just takes everything out in its path. So what's going to happen is the Simsum and these waves, it's building to a tsunami because it's gathering strength. Be it water, be it Hasidim, as soon as it starts moving, it's Guvarot, right? And when that Guvarot wave hits, the crest of the wave is not what destroys you. It's the trough of the wave when it hits, right? That's where everything is always destroyed. When it's up here, it's doing good, but boy, when it's down here, a surfer would say, yeah, ride the wave. It's a lot of fun up here, but don't let it smash you on the rocks. The fun becomes death like that. This is what's happening as we move closer to fixing the final hay. We can do it right here because from the neck up, you have everything. God equipped himself with everything. So what does he need? We always say God's trying to touch himself. He's trying to feel himself. What does he need? Flesh. He's got to have flesh. To make that Guvarot made that flesh. From my flesh I will behold God, right? Job. He's got to have that flesh because if he creates that flesh, he has just made his vessel for Zivug. And now he can feel it. Completely different than ever before. This is what Solomon is talking about in his writings. Oh, how I love her. I want to kiss her. I want to do all this. And then she's gone. And then I search her out. And where's she at? And then I finally get to her. And then, back together. And it's the journey and the struggle of the Ein Sof making his perfect woman, only to lose her, only for it to shatter, only for it to make again. And it seems like it's getting further out of reach. It's not. It's getting further to completion. And then it's in exile. It's gone. That's why Rachel is in exile. Because she is Malchut. Right? And on and on and on. And so, this is what's going on throughout the Parshas. When the first wave comes, which is going to be Yosher. Well, the first wave is really not Yosher, but I'll explain it here. I'll go through this, then I'll use my board. So we have Akudim is like Abba, father. Nekudim is like Ima, mother. The head of Esau is the Mohin of Nekudim. How do we know that? Og is the Mohin of Sog, 63. Therefore, Esau is the Mohin of Nekudim. His body shattered. There's the iteration. Berudim is the son, which is like the helper, which is like Metatron, which is like the Nachash. And Malchut is the final tikkun, the hay. That's the daughter. That's where it's trying to get. Esau literally is Mohin of Hava. And it's working on the body, which is her garments. This is the 70 nations. Where do the 70 nations come from? Hava, which is the Guvarot of Adam, the light of Ma. Those are the 7 lower Sphirot, which are equal to the 7 kings of Edom that shattered. This is just the progression of the iteration. So here's what happens. Sine wave, Nachash. For the sake of this drawing, this is Hasidim, and this is Guvarot. These are the waves that it comes through. But remember, this is a polar singularity. And because it's on this side, this whole thing is Guvarot, which has a positive and negative in it. How do we know that? Samael and Lilith. It had a positive and negative. Adam and Hava. Positive and negative. Singularity. They were a single thing. But it's creation and the whole world is the female. So, by nature, because it's from Sog and Ben, and it's from Ima, it's Guvarot. When the Yosher hits it, when this light hits it, alright, that whole thing is now Guvarot, and this whole thing is Hasidim. And these are the waves of the organus. This whole thing will become the final hay. All of it. All of creation will actually be Malchut, the final hay. when he releases the Yosher, which will be a whole nother board, it's the world to come, when it hits this. The first wave, well, let's just make it like this. So the first wave is feminine because its creation is feminine first. Darkness. First thing he made. The first wave is her organus. The second wave is his. But relative to the light of Yosher, it's all female. Okay? But what's driving it is this big light. The Torah said that the first wave heals the tzaddikim. That's what heals all the tzaddikim. The second wave is what burns everything else out. Because the rest of the world will have no vessel to contain it. What is that vessel? The vessel is the Malchut, the hay that you make. The space for God that you have in your Holy of Holies. This is the Jerusalem of the mind. This is the third Jerusalem. This is the third temple. The one not built by man's hand, but by God's hand, you see. God built that. It's already built. It's not building. It's just there. It's just got nothing in it. Because we've never put anything in it. We've never taken the male-female relationship and put it in our Holy of Holies. Everything's fallen out. Everything is external. This is the sod of watching pornography. What is the Kohen Gadol doing when he goes in the Holy of Holies? Behind the curtain. He's seeing it all happen. Not only that, he's in the middle of it. He is it. It has penetrated him now. That's why he has to shave off every hair on his body. Hair is guvarot. He can't have it. It would burn him up. Because the two childlike Reuben become adolescents, become adult, and they get in union. And he enters, as Song of Songs says, these are Netzach and Hod, these angels, between the thigh. And he enters. And he is literally riding that wave. Because he is the vessel. He is the thing that's containing it. And so we have to invert all these things. The backside is going to have the same thing the front side had. He's seeing the whole thing. Well, that's the whole seeing of the external flesh. You see. You're going to look either way. It's either going to be looking Holy of Holies or looking backside klipa. That's all there is. When the first wave comes, it's the man, the main nukvi, the feminine waters, the big tsunami wave. The second wave that hits is the mod, the main dukrin. Okay? Y'all follow me? The Shir HaShirim is the Malchut of the Torah. So the only way to build the Malchut is to study what Malchut is. It's the 24th book, 12 and 12, 24. When a bride adorned herself back in the day, she wore 24 ornaments. You know, whatever. Earring, whatever. She wore 24 ornaments. These are likened to the 24 books of the Tanakh. Until she became his Malchut, his Nukva. And they went into the marriage chamber. As above, so below. As below, so above. It's got to follow the same pattern. The kings of Edom could not contain this light. Here is the supersode. The iteration. It's never finished its tohu. It's never finished its tohu. Therefore, it's never finished its hay. Because the vessels shatter again and again. But the tzaddik will make all the malchuts it needs. That's the secret of the tzaddikim. And the righteous woman. Making the malchuts. It can then, because right now it can't complete Adam, it can't complete Bereshit, it can't complete Ak, it can't complete Nekudim, it can't complete Akudim, it can't complete Bereshit, it can't complete anything. Nothing's done. This is the knot. This is the knot that Ein Sof is in. But it's having to do all this for one purpose. To make its final thing. To where it can have union. And then, once it's done, it's been doing this for over 13 billion years. That's how long it's taken it to do it. But just think, once it's done, how far Yosher goes on for eternity. That's the world to come. That keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. Olam haba, 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 haba. This is the tsunami of organusic waves of light of her and him, her and him, her and him, her and him. So, for us, it's all about rectifying, really, Nekudim, which is the true Eve. It's the true Hava. The lesson talks about, I'm going to try to say this, Nishmatim Hadatim, the place of the new souls, where everything that is occurring is this Yosher and Agulim. What it is the curling of, the two-tailed Leviathan, which would be the straight light aspect and the curved light aspect. All the curling of the Agulim is curving back into itself. And this is how it's going to actually make union. It's doing this. But this is the Guvurot. So Adam is relatively female for Ak. It's just trying to complete its female. So where did God hide all this light? He hid it in the dark matter. In the dark energy. This is what scientists do not understand about dark matter and dark energy. If you shoot a gun, eventually the bullet gets slower and slower and slower and slower till it's gone. Mm-hmm. But dark energy is expanding and expanding and expanding, and it's growing faster and faster and faster and faster. Why? Because that's where he hid the Yosher. He had to make enough klipa and enough coagulated Guvurot to hide the ultimate bullet. And that's why the dark energy in space and dark matter keeps expanding at a rapid pace, and it's growing so fast. Scientists are just they don't understand it. They cannot wrap their head around it. Because after the Big Bang, you would think the particles would have slowed down, like the bullet I described. No. It's going faster and faster and getting larger and larger and larger. This is the Or Hadash, the hidden light. What is it doing? It's breaking up the Guvarot, and it's increasing, and it's moving faster and faster. So, what is the ark? When we studied in Noah, the ark, remember, is Malchut. He had to bring everything back into a Malchut and set everything back down. And then Ham shattered again, right? Noah is Yesod, shattered again. So, when's the next time we made an ark? Sinai. We have an ark. So, we have, every time we have an ark, these are lips of Malchut. And if we're talking in a feminine sense, this is a female Yesod, so it is a womb. Right? Something you put something in. The lips are only the edge of the torus. The curvature, the lip, or the edge of the torus. Sandalphon, Elijah, is the lip, or the edge. All angels are this thing. They are the lip and the edge. Lip and the edge of Asalut is the Parsufim. The lip and the edge of Beradim is the Seraphim. The lip and the edge of Yetzirah, of the Hayot. The lip and the edge of Asiya, or Orphim. And the whole thing are like Ophanim, which is a wheel, within a wheel, within a wheel. You're looking at the lip, and the lip, and the lip, and the lip, and the lip, as you go in, really up, right? Okay? So these lips or these edges of these angels, if I was going to describe an edge of something, I could use the term sword. Right? And because it's female, I could use the term fiery. So what is guarding Gan Eden?
Fiery swords.
The fiery swords of the angels. These are the upper lips of her Yesod. The fiery. What is the ark down here? It's her Malchut. It's the entrance point. These are the lower lips. That's why the angels are childlike. Still cherubim, still angels. And that's why he goes through the center of them. Yom Kippur. That's the entrance. And that makes a place for a final Malchut for the light to now hit. We don't have that anymore. Now what we have is the knowledge of our own Holy of Holies. Our own place to enter. So what do? We pull Yesod up, Rachel and Leah, lower lips, upper lips, right? There's your entrance. You're in. Now you're creating a space and a vessel for the Song of Songs. To get it. To understand it. To allow the God of Israel to penetrate your mind. Which is what Solomon knew. So what did he do? He surrounded himself with 1,000 women. Right? What was he doing? He was creating this. Now, that was his downfall. Right? Because You can't do that. But he knew what he was doing. But it's still iteration, 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 iteration. You're still going to break, 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 break. It's going to break always until the final, until it's complete. Until it is so perfected, it can contain the light. And we're closer now than ever. This is what the Ein Sof is doing. It is doing the impossible. It's impossible to create something from no thing. But it's going to do it anyway. How does it do it? It does it through the suffering of the nation of Israel and the suffering of the Jewish flesh. Because flesh is its own raw consciousness. It's its ore that is concretized. It's its own consciousness that is now concretized, so where it can feel itself. But it's gururot. It's painful.
Nefesh.
It's nefesh. This is the same. So what does the backside do? It's got to have its same thing. It's got to kill its own Jew, Jesus. They're killing it, right? Building Malchut is building this vessel to contain the light. This is the womb. This is why the matriarchs were barren. When, even Samuel's mother, when they knew they were a Malchut, they knew they were trying, because they were fixing to contain serious light. Hagar, Keturah, whatever, she didn't have trouble having Ishmael, because he's contamination. Sarah, she is a hay, and she's got to contain the good light. So her womb her vessel has to be ready to contain that light. Rebecca, Rachel, all of them. Samuel's mother. Because you have so much pain with gururot, this is killing the female Leviathan. So what he did, he killed the female Leviathan, which is the heavy gururot. Leviathan is Yosher Aguli. Yosher Aguli. This is the way it makes Nachash, right? The way it makes the serpentine movement. And because it withdrew the male light, so to speak, this is the castration of the male Leviathan. So the gururot that's out of this male is keeping the world alive. That's why it says the whole world rests on the fin of Leviathan, on one little bitty piece of Leviathan. Because if he let the whole thing go, it's shattering with just the fin. Can you imagine what it would be like if he let the whole thing go? Even though this fin is a yesod, it's the gururot aspect of yesod. So, Akudim is already, this is all already on the left side. The source of the eyes of Ak never really came out. It is missing its mate. Because it's missing its mate, it is suffering. The suffering of the Jewish nation is the suffering of Ak. You know, if your mate dies, or if, God forbid, something happens, that grieving pain that you feel is a suffering, and that suffering manifests itself in reality on the Jewish people. But once it gets its mate and it emanates its yosher, and you're eating zivug, union, the feast of Leviathan, this now is going to, it inverts the whole thing, which is the sod of Rabbi Akiva's, the martyrdom and the death and the Holocaust, is the sod of that is when they flayed Rabbi Akiva's flesh and they sold his flesh in the markets. This is the pain that the Ein Sof and Ak are going through to make their Malchut. Because it can't contain what it wants it to contain. And that's what's going on. But they are about to meet. The right side of my board up here hasn't ever been seen, because it is a parallel dimension. Our world, the world of Agulim, it's really, to be honest with you, it's only half of an Agulim. It really ain't the whole thing. Half, say Agulim, straight light. What happens? It's about to meet. It's two parallel universes. These are the two Leviathans that are one. The Jewish people are the only straight light of Genesis that are left here. Which is impossible. And it's beyond comprehension of what's happening. The impossibility of that light is the incomprehensible torture of the Jews. That's what it is. Because you got one little bitty thread of Yosher in a great big room of Guvarot. This is the human martyrdom of the Jewish people. But this is how it will complete its Malchut. That's the good news to the story. It's impossible to attempt the impossible. This is its possible. Let me get this right. This is its possible attempt at the impossible. This is the selling of the flesh of Rabbi Akiva in the market. He's hiding in place where no one can see him in the Jewish people. That's where Ak and the Yosher is. There has to be a reason for the Jewish saga of exile and persecution. They have never held land. Ever. Because land is not good. Why have they never held it? Because Malchut's never been completed. But this is the deal that the Holy One made with Abraham. You're going to be a stranger in the land. You're going to do all this. All this bad stuff's going to happen, brother. But I'll make you this promise. The reward to you and your seed is the ecstasy of riding this wave on the right side of this board that nobody's ever seen forever. This is how we know He will go beyond him, that the Holy One, the Ein Sof, will go beyond Himself. All will be new. This is the same, so He's creating a new heaven and a new earth, see? When this hits. So if we have an egg and a sperm, it hits. What does it do? Also, we have a person. How did some little microscopic straight light thing hit some round Gouverot curvature thing and all of a sudden create a whole human being? If you really stop and think about it, it is a huge mystery of how that even can happen. A living, breathing, thinking, walking, its own entity. This is why no eye has seen anything that the Holy One has in store, because it's never hit itself before. When it can enter that vessel and hit that Malchut, it's going to birth something new. And when it has its organus, when it emits its organus, that will be its completion. That is when you'll know. Right? That will be the first wave. It is not linear. But it's kind of a quantum thing. Solomon is just saying what this whole thing is feeling over there on the right side of the board. He's the only one that can do it. That's what Solomon is saying. In the seventh, which is the Malchut, which is the Holy of Holies, which is on the Even Shtia. See, the Even Shtia is male, per se. The Ark is female. It's sitting on, but that's the Teret HaYesod. It is sitting on the Even Shtia. That's the union. The Even Shtia is over there, but the Muslim's got a big dome over it. Solomon is explaining the finding and the losing of the sine wave, of his and her ecstasy, and the reuniting of it. So, when we have this curvature light, the Egulim, these are the twin messiahs. Okay? Netzach and Hod. Twins. Esau and Jacob. Twin messiahs. But we have the two messiahs are this way. When this curved light hits, it's twin messiahs. But when it hits like this, it's two messiahs. But it's one singularity. Joseph, Yesod, Even Shtia, David, Ark, Teret HaYesod. In a fallen state, Joseph is going in the fallen state, the fallen kings, that's That's Messiah ben Joseph. Getting beat up. This whole thing is female. Fallen Yesod. Once it's erected, David's the crown. The Malchut is the crown to the Keter.
Mm-hmm. Because the 8th king has his wife.
Yes. So we see it in the angels, which are the lips. Michael, Gabriel, right? This way, so let's call it, that'd be east and west? No, north and south.
North and south.
North and south. Michael's north, Gabriel's Guverot. North is north, south. Michael, Gabriel. Okay? But then east and west, Uriel, Nuriel. Michael, Gabriel, macro. Uriel, Nuriel, micro. Metatron, Sandalphon.
Uriel is south.
Michael is south.
And then Uriel is east.
So these are the two twin messiahs. These are the two that are four. You see how the two that are four? So we have the twin messiahs, and now we have the two messiahs. The two that are four. Yud He Vav He. When you put this in your Holy of Holies, your north-south axis, your east-west axis, all right, you have just become the Ot. You have all the quadrants. You have just become the Ot, and you are the thing that can now God can use to interface and make the unification, and He takes you over, basically. That's how it's done. Which means this is what the high priest did on Yom Kippur. The two Keruvi. He had east-west. He had his axis. He gets in the middle. The Ot. Eating. There's the 3 C's. Right? Those are the 3 C's of eating. Right there. That's what he was doing. Here, upper, the Ot to P to P, the Ot to the Ot, cerebral, culinary, and carnal. It was all going on at one time. And he was right in the middle. I'm just telling you I'm just giving you the dimensions and the format of how to build your Holy of Holies. That's all I'm doing. So that you can be a part of this deal. Because what did it need? It needed His flesh. The Holy One, the Kohen Gadol had to go in there. It needed His flesh. So we are the flesh that feels and thinks. That's how it gets its stimulation. This is what it needs. This is what you get somebody who has everything. This right here. We feel everything that they feel forever. That's the secret of this sport. That's the secret of the world to come. We are the thing that allows them to feel. Therefore, we feel. Every crest, every trough, every organusic tsunami that it emanates out. From the female to the male. If you take one cell out of this thing, the whole thing dies. That's why we have to redeem Yeshu HaNotzri. He's Josephic. It has to be redeemed. You can't take a cell out of it, or the whole thing dies. So if the whole thing dies, you can't worship death. can't do it. So basically what I've just described is what it's doing, what it needs, what's going to happen, how it will feel, and what we will call it is the Feast of Leviathan. That's what it calls it. You see. The only way to explain any of this is the Shir HaShirim. The only way to explain any of it, to know what's going on, what I just gave you is the tip of the spear. But going through the Song of Songs is to know everything about this whole system and what is happening with him and his creation and it's the completion of the whole thing. It's how to complete Akudim, Nekudim, Berudim, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. It is its completion. And it is, you can probably tell how graphic it can get. Here's the thing. The 24 ornaments on the bride, these are 24 jewels. They're considered jewels. So each Torah book is a jewel, obviously. But it's only the 24th that allows the other 23 to exist. Without the 24th, without the completion, these other ones don't even exist. You see? So, I said this a couple weeks ago, and I believe it with all my heart. Studying this book and finishing that book, Song of Songs, not only accelerates the redemption process, it is the redemption process. It is the thing that it wants. It's the thing that it is doing. It is the sole goal of the mind of the Ein Sof 14 billion years ago. The first iteration of Tohu. It's got its light hidden away for that purpose. So, he created the light. He said, let there be light. There was light. And the light was Tov. Tov. Very good. It's going to be very good. Right? That's also Ma, to be honest with you. So, this is what Adam and Hava are working on in the garden. Not only do they know this, they are this. I mean, this is their whole mission. But they know it's going to shatter. But they know it's making Malchut. So, we've said this in many classes. All the Malchuts are here. There you are. You're all here. You know? And you have your own Holy of Holy portal transport. You have the vessel, which is your Da'at, it's his Malchut. Cultivate it, meditate on it, think about it, give it dimensionality, give it space, because when God hits, Noah got out of the flood in his ark. The ark led the children of Israel through the desert. It's all about her. This is the world of the female. And as soon as this class is over, my wife's going to tell me where we're going to go eat. Because it's all about her. Torah is amazing. Sage is amazing. See you next week.